The world watched in anticipation as Donald Trump made his way back to the Oval Office for a second term. His return was marked by an unwavering commitment to his signature slogan, America First, and promises of sweeping changes to U.S. foreign policy. This narrative explores the potential implications of Trump's leadership, not only for the United States, but also for the global community. As Trump settles back into the role of commander-in-chief, the world is a different place than it was during his first term. The global landscape is increasingly multipolar, with shifting alliances and growing tensions between major powers. Questions loom large. Is Trump's approach the right solution for the challenges facing the U.S.? Could it signify the decline or revival of American influence? Under Trump's America First doctrine, the U.S. is expected to pivot away from multilateral engagements that characterized the Biden administration. He advocates for strengthening national borders, renegotiating trade agreements to favor U.S. interests, and reducing foreign aid expenditures. On the surface, these policies seem isolationist, yet they could also be interpreted as strategic moves to bolster the nation's economic resilience amid global uncertainties. However, the ripple effects of such policies on international relations cannot be ignored. Allies and adversaries alike scramble to recalibrate their diplomatic strategies. European leaders worry about a potential shift in transatlantic relations, while countries in Asia ponder how renewed American assertiveness might impact regional stability. In the Middle East, where ongoing conflicts are already complex, Trump's return could mean a re-evaluation of U.S. military presence and commitments. Critics argue that the America First philosophy could exacerbate global conflicts as U.S. leadership wanes on the international stage. By withdrawing from global engagements, America risks losing its status as a stabilizing force and champion of democracy. On the other hand, supporters claim that focusing on domestic priorities could lead to a more robust and self-sufficient nation, ultimately reinforcing America's global standing through economic strength and innovation. The narrative of Trump's second term is one of tension and transformation. With each policy decision, the United States navigates a precarious balance between safeguarding its national interests and maintaining its role as a global leader. Observers are left to speculate: is this the twilight of the American empire, or the dawn of a new era defined by resilience and reinvention? In a surprising turn of events, Donald Trump has returned for a second term as the President of the United States, causing ripples of both concern and optimism across the globe. With his famous slogan America First, he has promised a series of radical shifts in American foreign policy, starkly deviating from those of his predecessor, President Biden. The world, now more multipolar and uncertain, is questioning whether Trump's return signifies the end of the American empire or its renaissance. Trump's approach, often characterized as nationalistic, seeks to re-establish and reinforce American primacy on the world stage. His foreign policy aims to pull back from multilateral engagements and international agreements that do not directly favor American interests. This realignment is likely to change the dynamics in ongoing global conflicts and geopolitical tensions. Allies who have relied heavily on American support are bracing for a decrease in American involvement in international coalitions or support missions. However, for some, this move is seen as necessary for preserving American interests in an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape where new powers are emerging. Supporters argue that Trump's policies are aimed at reclaiming economic and political influence lost during previous administrations. With heightened tariffs and revised trade agreements, Trump aims to bolster American production and jobs. Yet questions remain about the long-term impact of such policies. Will America First alienate allies and diminish American influence globally? Or will it create a stronger, more resilient United States, better equipped to handle the challenges of the 21st century? For the world, Trump's presidency could mean a pivot to self-reliance, as the age of American global policing comes to an uncertain pause. Nations may focus more on strengthening regional alliances and own military capabilities, without the assurance of steadfast American backing. In conclusion, Trump's return as president introduces a paradox of potential decline versus resurgence for the American empire. In a theatrical return to the global stage, Donald Trump has seized the reins for a second term as President of the United States. As he embarks on his renewed journey, with the resounding echo of his slogan "America First," Trump's promises signal a dramatic shift in American foreign policy. This change flies in the face of the Biden administration's approach, marking a sharp divergence not only in domestic policy, but also in the intricate web of international relations. Under Trump's leadership, the United States seems poised to redefine its alliances and reshape its strategic priorities. The mantra of America First suggests an era where economic and military interests will be at the forefront, potentially sidelining previous commitments to diplomatic and environmental agreements. Trump has already announced his intention to recalibrate alliances, particularly with traditional partners who have been navigating an increasingly multipolar world. From the vantage point of global observers, Trump's return is met with mixed reactions. For some, it stirs hope for a renewed vigor in counteracting perceived threats from larger powers like China and Russia. For others, it echoes concerns of isolationism and destabilization in already fragile geopolitical landscapes. The question arises whether Trump is the right man for America in these tumultuous times. Advocates argue that his direct, unyielding approach is precisely what is needed to assert and protect American interests. Critics, however, warn that his often unilateral and unpredictable nature could prompt greater uncertainty and strain on international relations. Whether this marks the resurgence of American dominance or the beginning of its decline remains uncertain. The stakes are heightened in ongoing conflicts, from skirmishes in the Middle East to trade wars with China. Trump's policies could lead to escalations or resolutions, reflective of his belief in bold strategies. As nations brace themselves for this new chapter, the world watches closely. Will America under Trump's leadership set a course for renewed greatness, or will it grapple with the challenges of global interdependence in solitude? The answer, wrapped in the complexities of global politics, remains to be seen, but one thing is clear. The ripple effects of America's choices will continue to shape the world's geopolitical dynamics for years to come. As Donald Trump returns to power for a second term as President of the United States, his bold campaign slogan "America First" takes center stage once again. This slogan, synonymous with a vision of prioritizing the United States' interests above all, announces a significant shift from the policies of the Biden administration. In a world that is increasingly multipolar and fraught with geopolitical tensions, Trump's approach may seem to some as either the harbinger of a renewed American strength or the decline of its global influence. The ramifications of Trump's presidency on the international stage are poised to be profound. Initially, Trump's re-election promises signal a drastic recalibration of foreign policy. His administration is likely to focus on strengthening domestic industries, removing American troops from overseas conflicts, and renegotiating trade deals perceived as unfavorable. Trump's strategy to pivot from global engagements to intense domestic rejuvenation feeds the narrative of an America First agenda. This pivot could potentially lead to the dismantling of some of the multilateral agreements the U.S. participated in, thereby causing ripples in international diplomacy. Countries watching closely include key global players like China, Russia, and nations within the European Union. Trump's past confrontations suggest a return to a more confrontational stance towards China's economic policies, a re-evaluation of NATO's strategic goals, and tougher negotiations with EU trading partners. For allies and adversaries alike, this could mean an unpredictable international landscape where bilateral agreements and sudden policy shifts become the norm. Meanwhile, nations embroiled in current conflicts, observing the reshuffles in U.S. foreign policy, may reassess their strategies, either scrambling for new allies or rethinking ongoing confrontations to align with or brace against America's renewed posture. Trump's renewed focus inwardly might signal less interventionist policies, but his unpredictable style may also lead to rapid, unexpected international moves. For the American public and global states alike, Trump's second term symbolizes not just a rotation of leadership, but a potential paradigm shift in envisioning America's role in the world. Whether this spells the end of an American era or the dawn of a renewed one remains contingent upon how aligned nations across the globe adjust to the reconfigured power dynamics the Trump administration reintroduces to the international theater.